The transport ship descended toward the massive orbital station called Harmonic Sphere. Inside the passenger cabin, Ho adjusted his formal diplomatic uniform for the third time. His hands were steady, but his mind raced with thoughts about the historic moment ahead. He was the first human to ever attend the Galactic Commission. Earth had been discovered by accident 6 months ago when a survey ship detected radio signals from the Sol system. The discovery shocked the galaxy. Humans had developed faster than any species in recorded history. Now, Ho carried the weight of representing his entire species. The ship docked with a soft thud. Ho stood and walked toward the airlock. The station's air smelled different, processed and clean in a way that felt artificial. He stepped into the corridor where a small floating drone waited to guide him. The grand chamber was enormous. The ceiling stretched so high that Ho could barely see it. Hundreds of seats arranged in circular tiers surrounded a central platform. This was where representatives from 847 different species gathered to make decisions for the galaxy. As Ho walked down the central aisle toward the platform, something strange happened. The gentle murmur of conversation stopped. Complete silence fell over the chamber. Delegates turned to stare at him. Some stood from their seats. Others backed away. Ho noticed small lights flashing on panels throughout the room. Red warnings blinked on screens. He wondered if something was wrong with the station systems. He kept walking, trying to maintain his diplomatic composure. What Ho did not know was that every biological sensor in the chamber had activated the moment he entered. His body temperature registered at 37 degrees Celsius. To most species in the room, this was fever-level heat. Some species would die if their bodies reached such temperatures. The atmospheric analyzer showed that Ho breathed an oxygen-nitrogen mixture with 21% oxygen content. This was dangerously high. Most species required only 8–12% oxygen. Higher concentrations were toxic to them. But the most alarming information came from the geological database. Earth, the human, was classified as a Class 12 death world. The classification system only went to Class 15, reserved for planets so hostile that even robotic probes failed to survive. Counselor and being with multiple compound eyes stood frozen at her seat. Her specialized vision could see heat signatures. The human glowed like a small furnace. Every movement of Ho's muscles generated heat. His breathing expelled warm air with each exhale. How did this creature not overheat and die? Scholar L, an aquatic species who wore a mobility suit filled with water, checked his data pad 3 times. The information must be wrong. Earth's gravity was 1 standard units, but standard was calculated using the average of all known habitable worlds. Earth's gravity was actually 43% higher than that average. This human had evolved under crushing pressure that would slowly kill most species through organ failure. Ho reached the central platform and bowed politely, as was the custom in human diplomacy. Several delegates in the front rows scrambled backward. One small, furry delegate fainted and slumped in their seat. "Greetings, honored members of the Galactic Commission," Ho said in clear, measured tones. His translator implant converted his words into the standard galactic language. "I am Ambassador Ho of Earth. I bring peaceful intentions and hope for friendship between humanity and all species of this great assembly." His voice was calm and warm. To the aliens, it sounded like a predator's purr. The deep vibrations carried through the chamber. Some species felt the sound waves as physical pressure. The commission's lead speaker, an elderly being named and whose species had founded the commission over 10,000 years ago, slowly approached his podium. His 6 hands trembled slightly. He had witnessed many first contacts in his long life, but never anything like this. We welcome you, Ambassador Ho," En managed to say. His voice cracked. "The Commission acknowledges humanity's request for diplomatic relations." Ho smiled, genuinely pleased. His smile revealed teeth. Flat teeth in front for cutting, pointed teeth on the sides for tearing. An omnivore's mouth, a predator's tools. More delegates stood and backed toward the exits. The humans were omnivores. They ate both plants and flesh. They consumed other living creatures for nutrition. The realization spread through the chamber like ice water. A forced herself to speak. "Ambassador, perhaps you would like to rest after your journey. We can arrange comfortable quarters." "Thank you, Counselor," Ho replied. "That would be most kind. The journey was long, and I must admit I'm looking forward to stretching my legs. The exercise will feel good." Exercise. The human wanted to exercise after traveling across space. It wanted to deliberately stress its already powerful muscles for recreation. As Ho was escorted from the chamber, the drone guide keeping a notably larger distance than protocol required, the delegates erupted into frantic discussion. Emergency meetings were called. Security briefings were scheduled. Medical staff were put on high alert. In his assigned quarters, Ho removed his formal jacket and sat down with a satisfied sigh. The first meeting had gone well, he thought. The aliens seemed very respectful, even if they were quieter than he had expected. Perhaps they were simply formal by nature. He looked out the window at the stars beyond the station. Earth was out there somewhere, billions of kilometers away. He hoped he had made his people proud. In the Commission's security center, officers watched recorded footage of the humans' entrance over and over. They analyzed every movement, every gesture, every breath. One officer finally spoke what they were all thinking. "We've invited an apex predator from a death world into our home." The others nodded slowly. The galaxy had just become a much more dangerous place. Or perhaps they were only now realizing how dangerous humans truly were. 3 days had passed since Ho's arrival at Harmonic Sphere. The initial shock had settled into nervous curiosity among the alien delegates. The Commission had scheduled a diplomatic recess, a break period where representatives could rest and socialize informally. Ho stood in one of the station's observation lounges, admiring the view of a nearby nebula. He wore casual Earth clothing now, simple pants and a shirt. The comfortable fabric felt better than the stiff diplomatic uniform. "Beautiful, isn't it?" a voice said behind him. Ho turned to see a young human woman approaching. She wore a scientist's badge and carried a data pad. Her name tag read, "HFY Xenobiology Research." "It really is," Ho agreed, shaking her hand. "I didn't know there were other humans on the station." "Just a few of us," HFY explained. "I arrived last week to set up research exchanges with alien science teams, though most of them seemed nervous around me." She laughed softly. "I tried to join a botany group yesterday, and 3 researchers immediately left the room." Ho shook his head. "I've noticed the same thing. I thought maybe I had offended them somehow." "I don't think it's that," HFY said thoughtfully. "I've been reading the Commission's files about Earth. They classify our planet as extremely dangerous. I think we scare them." Before Ho could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the station. Red warning lights flashed in the corridor outside the lounge. An automated voice spoke in the standard galactic language. "Environmental malfunction in Sector 7. All personnel evacuate immediately. Temperature dropping. Oxygen levels decreasing. This is not a drill." Aliens rushed past the lounge windows, moving quickly toward the safe zones. Within minutes, the corridors were empty except for the flashing lights. Ho and HFY looked at each other, then checked the environmental readings on a nearby wall panel. The temperature in Sector 7 had dropped to 5 degrees Celsius. Oxygen levels had fallen by 15%. "Should we evacuate too?" Ho asked. HFY frowned at the numbers. "These readings are basically like a cool autumn day on Earth. The oxygen is still higher than the air at high-altitude mountains back home." "You're right," Ho realized. "My apartment in Seoul gets colder than this in winter." They heard a crashing sound from Sector 7. Something had broken. Without thinking, both humans ran toward the sound. They found a damaged environmental control panel. Coolant fluid leaked from broken pipes. Sparks flew from exposed circuits. "We need to shut off the coolant line," HFY said, examining the damage. "Otherwise this will spread to other sectors." Ho nodded. He found the manual shutoff valve, but it was stuck. He gripped it with both hands and pulled hard. His muscles strained against the frozen metal. Finally, with a loud groan, the valve turned. The coolant leak stopped. HFY was already working on the electrical panel. Her breath created small clouds in the cold air. "I can bypass the damaged circuits, but I need to reroute power. Can you access that panel over there?" For the next 3 hours, the two humans worked together. They repaired damaged systems, cleaned up coolant spills, and restored environmental controls. They took off their outer layers as they worked, the physical effort keeping them warm despite the cold air. Neither of them noticed they were being watched. Security cameras recorded everything. In the station's command center, dozens of alien officers stared at the screens in absolute silence. The humans were working in lethal conditions. No environmental suits, no breathing equipment, no emergency heat sources. They simply accepted the hostile environment and continued working. "How long have they been in there?" one officer whispered. 3 hours and 17 minutes, another responded, checking the time code. "Any signs of distress?" "No, their biosigns are completely normal. They're not even shivering." When Ho and HFY finally finished repairs, they returned to the main corridor. Emergency response teams had arrived, wearing full environmental suits and carrying rescue equipment. The suited figures stopped and stared at the two humans who stood there in normal clothes, looking slightly tired but otherwise fine. "Sector 7 is repaired," HFY reported to the team leader. "The environmental systems should return to normal in about 20 minutes." The team leader, a being whose species came from a warm, humid world, could barely speak. You were in there, without protection." "Oh, it wasn't that bad," Ho said with a smile. "A bit chilly, but we stayed warm by working." The security footage went viral across the Commission's internal networks within hours. Scientists analyzed every frame. Medical officers studied the humans' biological responses. Cultural experts tried to understand the psychology of beings who walked into danger without hesitation. A new term appeared in galactic databases: persistent species. It described organisms that survived not through specialized adaptations, but through sheer refusal to quit. Humans didn't just tolerate harsh conditions. They barely seemed to notice them. That evening, Ho was summoned to a meeting with the Commission's safety director, a careful and cautious being named R. The director's office was warm and humid, optimized for his comfort. "Ambassador Ho," R began slowly, "we need to discuss safety protocols for humans on this station." "Of course," Ho agreed. "What concerns do you have?" R pulled up the security footage on his screen. "You and research analyst HFY entered a hazardous zone without protective equipment. This is against all station regulations." Ho watched the footage, confused. "Director, I apologize if we broke any rules, but the environment wasn't hazardous to us. Those conditions are normal on Earth." "Normal?" R's voice rose slightly. "That environment would kill 73% of the species in this commission within 1 hour." The realization hit Ho like cold water. What he considered a mild inconvenience was lethal to most aliens. The gap between human resilience and alien fragility was far wider than he had imagined. "I understand now," Ho said quietly. "We didn't mean to cause alarm. We simply saw a problem and tried to help." R sat back in his chair. "That's what worries me most, Ambassador. You saw a lethal emergency and thought it was just a problem. Your people's baseline for survival is other species' nightmare scenario." After the meeting, Ho walked slowly back to his quarters. He passed groups of aliens who quickly moved to the other side of the corridor when they saw him. Some whispered to each other. Others simply stared. For the first time since arriving at Harmonic Sphere, Ho truly understood. The galaxy wasn't just curious about humans. They were terrified. Not because humans were cruel or violent, but because they were fundamentally different. Humans existed on a level of resilience that seemed impossible to other species. He reached his quarters and sat by the window looking out at the stars. Earth was out there, dangerous and beautiful. It had forged humanity in fire and ice, in storms and droughts, in competition with creatures that could kill with tooth and claw. And now the galaxy had to figure out what to do with the children of that terrible, wonderful world. Counselor had not slept well in 5 days. Her species required very little sleep, but mental rest was still necessary. The arrival of the humans had disturbed her deeply. She needed to understand them better, and understanding required direct conversation. She sent a formal request to Ambassador Ho for a private meeting. To her surprise, he accepted immediately and suggested they meet in one of the station's casual dining areas rather than a formal conference room. This itself was interesting. The human preferred informal settings. When I arrived at the dining area, she found Ho already there, sitting at a small table with a cup of some steaming liquid. He stood and bowed when he saw her, a gesture of respect. "Counselor, thank you for meeting with me," Ho said warmly. "Please sit. I was just having some tea. Would you like anything?" Settled into a chair designed for her body structure. "No, thank you. I must maintain a specific diet." She paused. "Ambassador, I hope you don't mind direct conversation. My species values clarity." "I appreciate that," Ho replied. "Please speak freely." A's compound eyes studied him carefully. "I want to understand Earth. Your world frightens many members of the Commission. The environmental data we have received seems extreme. Is it truly as dangerous as the reports suggest?" Ho considered his answer carefully. "Earth has challenges, yes, but to us it's home. It's beautiful. We don't see it as particularly dangerous because we evolved there." "Tell me about these challenges," oppressed. "Help me understand." Ho took a sip of his tea. "Well, the weather can be intense. We have storms, droughts, floods. Temperature can vary by 80 degrees Celsius between seasons in some regions. We have earthquakes and volcanoes." A's antennae twitched nervously. Each thing he listed would be catastrophic on most worlds. "But the people adapt," Ho continued. "We build shelters, create clothing for different conditions, develop technology to protect us. Humans are very good at adapting." "And the fauna?" I asked. "Your planet's animal life?" Ho's face brightened. "Oh, Earth has amazing animals. Lions, elephants, whales, eagles. The diversity is incredible." "I've read about some of these creatures," I said slowly. "Your planet has apex predators that hunt in groups. You have massive creatures that could crush a human easily. You have small creatures whose venom can kill. Yet you speak of them with affection." "Well, yes," Ho admitted. "We respect dangerous animals. We give them space. But we also find them fascinating and beautiful." I pulled up a file on her data pad. "Ambassador, I must share something that troubles me. We analyzed human hunting practices from your historical records. There is a method called persistence hunting." "Oh, that's an old technique," Ho explained. "Humans would chase prey animals for hours, sometimes days. The animal would run fast at first, but humans would follow at a steady pace. Eventually, the prey would become exhausted and overheat. The human hunters could then catch it." The silence that followed was heavy. I struggled to process this information. "You chase prey until it dies from exhaustion, until its body simply fails." "Our ancestors did, yes. Humans are excellent endurance runners. We can maintain a steady pace for very long distances." "This is a predator behavior," I said quietly. You are a predator species." Ho paused. He had never thought of humans that way, but from an alien perspective he could see how it looked. "We're omnivores. We eat both plants and meat. Modern humans mostly get food from farming and agriculture, not hunting." "But you can hunt," Ho insisted. "You have the capability, the instinct." Before Ho could respond, the door to the dining area opened. A human woman in a medical uniform entered. Her badge identified her as a medical officer recently assigned to the station's health center. "Ambassador Ho," she said apologetically, "sorry to interrupt. I brought the biological database files you requested." She carried a data chip. "Perfect timing," Ho said. "Counselor this is Medical Officer She's helping compile information about Earth for the Commission's archives." Bowed to and handed over the data chip. "This contains detailed information about Earth's ecosystem, plants, animals, microorganisms. It should help your scientists understand our world better." I accepted the chip carefully. "Thank you, Medical Officer. This will be very useful." After left, I loaded the database onto her pad. She began scrolling through entries. Her antennae went rigid as she read. "Ambassador," she said, her voice strained. "This entry about great white sharks. These creatures grow to 6 meters long. They have rows of serrated teeth. They can bite with a force of 18,000 newtons." "Sharks are magnificent creatures," Ho agreed. "Very ancient, very successful as a species. And they live in Earth's oceans, where humans swim." "Well, yes, but shark attacks are very rare. Humans aren't their preferred prey." A continued scrolling. Her movements became more agitated with each entry. Crocodiles, polar bears, box jellyfish, bullet ants, black mamba snakes. She looked up at Ho. "Every single one of these creatures could kill a human. Many could kill multiple humans. Yet you share a planet with them." "Earth is a big place," Ho said. "Most humans never encounter these animals in the wild. And when we do, we're usually careful and respectful." "Careful?" A's voice rose. "Ambassador, this entry on hippopotamuses says they kill more humans annually than almost any other large animal, yet humans consider them cute and funny-looking." Ho couldn't help but smile. "Well, they do look kind of funny." A set down her data pad. Her entire body language showed distress. "Ambassador Ho, I must be completely honest with you. My species comes from a world with very few predators. Our largest dangerous animal is about the size of your house cat. We evolved intelligence partly because we didn't need to evolve many physical defenses." She gestured at the data pad. "Your world is an apocalypse. It has disasters, extreme weather, and creatures that exist only to kill and consume other life. Yet humans not only survived there, you thrived. You became the dominant species. You even developed affection for the creatures that could destroy you." "When you put it that way," Ho said quietly, "I suppose Earth does sound rather extreme." "It's not just extreme," I said. "It's incomprehensible to most species in the Commission. We look at humans and see beings who survive the unsurvivable. Creatures who evolved psychological resilience alongside physical endurance. You had to, or you would have gone extinct." She looked directly at him. "Many delegates are afraid of humans, Ambassador. Not because you've done anything wrong, but because your very existence challenges our understanding of what's possible. You're living proof that the galaxy can produce beings far more powerful than we imagined." Ho was quiet for a long moment. "Counselor, I understand the fear, but I hope you can also see our potential as friends and allies. Yes, Earth made us tough, but it also taught us to work together to help each other, to protect those who are vulnerable. Humans learned that cooperation is how we survive." A's antennae relaxed slightly. "That is what gives me hope, Ambassador. A species as powerful as yours that values cooperation over domination. That is rare. Perhaps Earth's harshness taught you wisdom along with strength." She stood to leave, then paused. I will share this database with the Commission. It will frighten many, but perhaps it will also help them understand that humans are not monsters. You are survivors who chose to be kind despite having every reason to be hard. After she left, Ho sat alone with his cooling tea. He thought about Earth, about humanity, about the vast gap between human experience and alien understanding. The galaxy was learning about his species, one shocking revelation at a time. He just hoped they would also learn about humanity's heart, not just its strength. General or commanded the Commission's military council. In his 200 years of service, he had overseen conflicts between dozens of species, mediated territorial disputes, and coordinated defense against space pirates. He had seen many things, but he had never been truly afraid until now. The emergency military session was called quietly, without public announcement. 15 senior military officers from different species gathered in a secure conference room deep within Harmonic Sphere. The topic was simple and terrifying: human military capability. "And colleagues," or began, his voice grave, "we have allowed a species from a death world to enter the Commission. We know their biological capabilities are exceptional, but we have not yet addressed the obvious question: what weapons have these survivors created?" The room fell silent. Every officer present had been thinking the same thing: a species that evolved to hunt prey to exhaustion, that survived alongside massive predators, that thrived in extreme environments. What kind of weapons would such beings develop? "We have requested that Earth send a technical expert to brief us," or continued. "He should arrive shortly." As if on cue, the door opened. A young human man entered, looking nervous. His badge identified him as Sung Min, an engineer from Earth's Space Development Program. He carried a data case and wore simple civilian clothes. "Thank you for coming, Engineer Sung Min," or said formally. "Please sit." Sung Min sat down at the conference table, surrounded by alien military officers. He looked very small and very young. "I was told you wanted information about Earth's defense systems." "Yes," or replied. "We need to understand your species' military technology. For security purposes, you understand." Sung Min nodded slowly. He opened his data case and pulled out a display pad. "I should start by saying that Earth hasn't had a major global conflict in over 80 years. Most of our military technology is old." "Show us anyway," one officer demanded. Sung Min took a deep breath. "Okay. Well, the most powerful weapons humans developed are nuclear devices. They use atomic fission or fusion reactions to release enormous energy." He pulled up a diagram. The alien officers leaned forward to look. What they saw made several of them recoil. "This is a nuclear weapon," Sung Min explained. "When detonated, it creates an explosion equivalent to thousands or millions of tons of chemical explosives. The blast wave destroys everything nearby. The heat flash vaporizes material. The radiation kills living things even far from the impact." The room was utterly silent. "How many of these weapons does Earth possess?" or asked quietly. "At the peak, about 70,000, Sung Min answered. "Now it's much less, maybe 13,000. We've been reducing them through treaties." An officer from a peaceful herbivore species stood up shakily. "You built 70,000 weapons that could each destroy a city." "Some could destroy multiple cities," Sung Min admitted. "The largest ever tested was about 50,000 kilotons. It created a fireball 5 miles wide." Another officer spoke up, her voice trembling. "Why? Why would any species create such weapons?" Sung Min was quiet for a moment. Humans were afraid of each other. Different nations competed for resources and power. Each side built bigger weapons to scare the other side. It was called mutually assured destruction. If anyone attacked, everyone would die. "That's insane," someone whispered. "Yes," Sung Min agreed sadly. "It was insane. That's why we stopped. We realized we were more dangerous to ourselves than any external threat. Or pulled up another file. What about biological weapons? Our intelligence suggests humans researched weaponized diseases. Sungmin's face showed clear discomfort. Yes, we did. Several nations created biological weapons, engineered viruses, bacteria, toxins. They were designed to spread through populations and kill millions. The horror in the room was palpable. But we banned them, Sungmin said quickly. International treaties outlawed biological weapons. Most stockpiles were destroyed. We decided some weapons were too terrible to exist. You developed weapons that could exterminate your own species, or said slowly, and then you simply agreed to stop using them, through diplomacy. Yes, Sungmin replied. It wasn't easy. It took decades of negotiation. But eventually, humans realized that cooperation was better than destruction. A military strategist, a species known for logical thinking, spoke up. I don't understand. You possess the power to sterilize your own planet, yet you chose restraint. Why? What stopped you from using these weapons? Sungmin looked around the table at all the alien faces watching him. Because we didn't want to die, and we didn't want to kill each other. Humans can be violent, yes. We have wars, we fight. But most humans, deep down, want to live in peace. We want our children to grow up safe. We want to build things, create things, explore and learn. He pulled up images of Earth, cities with parks and gardens, families walking together, children playing. These weapons represented our worst impulses, our fear and anger, but they don't represent who humans want to be. Another officer, this one from a cautious species that avoided all conflict, asked a question. What about your other weapons? Conventional arms. Sungmin scrolled through more files. We have kinetic weapons, explosives, directed energy research, chemical weapons that are also banned. We have weapons that can strike targets from space, underwater, underground. We've developed military technology for every environment on Earth. Every environment, or repeated. Because Earth has so many dangerous environments, you learn to fight in all of them. I suppose so, Sungmin said. The military council members looked at each other. The implications were staggering. Humans had weapons that could crack planets. They had created diseases that could end civilizations. They had developed warfare capabilities for conditions that would kill most species. And then they had chosen to limit these weapons through diplomacy and treaties. Engineer Sungmin, or said carefully, I have one final question. If Earth has not had a major war in 80 years, why do you still maintain any military capabilities at all? Sungmin thought about this. Defense mostly. We keep some capability in case we ever face an external threat. Also, military technology often leads to civilian innovations. Space programs, medical advances, communications technology. Many peaceful technologies started as military research. So you turn weapons research into beneficial tools. When we can, yes. After the briefing ended and Sungmin left, the military council sat in stunned silence. Finally, one officer spoke what they were all thinking. They could destroy us all. Yes, or agreed, but they won't. How can you be sure? Or gestured to the door where Sungmin had exited. Because they already had the power to destroy themselves, and they chose not to. They developed the ultimate weapons, stared into the abyss of their own potential extinction, and stepped back. That takes a kind of courage and wisdom most species never need to learn. He stood up, his old body tired from the weight of what they had discussed. Humans are the most dangerous species in the known galaxy. They have the biology of apex predators, the resilience of death world survivors, and the weapons of a species that learned war by fighting itself. But they are also the most peaceful species we've encountered, precisely because they understand the true cost of violence. What do we tell the commission? An officer asked. The truth, or replied, that humanity is terrifying, that they possess capabilities beyond our worst fears, and that we should be grateful they come to us seeking friendship instead of conquest. The council members filed out slowly, each lost in thought. The galaxy had just learned that it shared space with beings who had mastered the art of apocalypse and chosen to pursue peace instead. Somewhere on the station, Ho was having dinner with other human delegates, laughing at a joke someone told. He had no idea that the military council had just had the most frightening briefing in commission history. He was just happy that people seemed to be getting more comfortable around humans. Progress, he thought. Small steps toward understanding. If only he knew what the galaxy now understood about his species. 3 months had passed since Ambassador Ho first walked into the Grand Chamber and terrified the galaxy. Today, the Commission would vote on humanity's formal admission. The chamber was full, every seat occupied. Representatives from all 847 member species had come to witness this historic moment. Ho stood in the central platform area, but he was not alone. Beside him stood Bora, a cultural liaison from Earth's diplomatic corps. She was young, enthusiastic, and had spent the past months meeting with various alien species to share human culture. The tension in the chamber was different now than it had been 3 months ago. It was not pure fear anymore. It was something more complex, curiosity mixed with caution, respect mixed with concern. Lead Speaker N called the session to order. We gather today to vote on humanity's petition to join the Galactic Commission as a full member species. Before we vote, Ambassador Ho has requested time to address this assembly. Ho bowed respectfully. Thank you, honored speaker. I know the past 3 months have been surprising for many of you. You've learned things about humanity that have caused concern. I wanted to take this opportunity to address those concerns directly. He paused, looking around at the hundreds of alien faces watching him. Yes, Earth is a harsh world. Yes, humans evolved to survive extreme conditions. Yes, we developed powerful weapons. All of this is true. The chamber was completely silent. But this is not all we are, Ho continued. Cultural liaison Bora has prepared a presentation that we hope will give you a fuller picture of humanity. Bora stepped forward, her nervousness showing only slightly. She activated a holographic display that filled the center of the chamber. Images began to appear. This is human music, Bora said as soft sounds filled the chamber. The music was gentle, melodic. We create art from sound. This particular piece is called a lullaby. It's what human parents sing to their children to help them sleep, to comfort them, to make them feel safe. The music played for a moment. Several alien delegates found themselves relaxing despite themselves. The sound was peaceful. The display changed to show paintings, sculptures, and other visual art. Humans express emotion through creation. We paint, we sculpt, we build beautiful things not for survival but for joy, for meaning. Next came images of human writing. These are books. Humans write stories to share experiences, to teach lessons, to explore ideas. We have millions of books: poetry, fiction, history, philosophy. We preserve our thoughts in words so future generations can learn from us. An image appeared showing humans helping each other during a natural disaster. When earthquakes or floods strike, humans from around the world send help. We have organizations dedicated to helping others, even strangers. Even though Earth is harsh, we learn to care for the vulnerable. Bora's voice grew stronger as she spoke. Yes, we evolved in a difficult environment, but that difficulty taught us things other species might never need to learn. We learned that cooperation is stronger than competition. We learned that protecting the weak makes the whole community stronger. We learned that today's enemy might be tomorrow's friend. She showed images of human families, children playing, elderly people being cared for, people celebrating together. We learned to value compassion because we needed it to survive. A human alone on Earth would die, but humans together can overcome almost anything. The display shifted to show Earth's environmental restoration projects. We made mistakes. We damaged our planet through ignorance and greed, but we learned. We're healing the damage, bringing back species we almost lost, protecting wilderness areas. We learned that strength includes knowing when to be gentle. Counselor stood from her seat. Cultural liaison Bora, may I ask a question? Of course, Counselor. Your species developed weapons that could destroy worlds. You hunted prey to exhaustion. You survived conditions that kill most species. Yet you say you value compassion and cooperation. How do we reconcile these contradictions? Bora smiled sadly. They're not contradictions, Counselor, they're the same thing. We developed terrible weapons because we were afraid. We learned to hunt because we were hungry. We survived harsh conditions because we had no choice. But through all of it, we also developed kindness, art, music, philosophy, and love. She gestured to the images around them. Earth didn't make us monsters. It made us strong enough to choose to be kind. That's the difference. We have the capability for violence, yes, but we also have the capacity for incredible gentleness, and we get to choose which one we act on. Ho stepped forward again. Honored delegates, we asked to join the commission not to dominate or intimidate. We asked to join because we believe in what the commission represents: peace between species, cooperation across differences, building something better together than we could build alone. Lead speaker N looked around the chamber. Are there any other questions before we vote? General or stood? I have a statement, not a question. The Military Council has reviewed human capabilities extensively. Yes, humanity is the most dangerous species we have encountered, but they are also the only species who had the power to destroy themselves and chose peace instead. They understand the cost of violence better than any of us. I believe that makes them not a threat, but a valuable ally. Scholar L rose next. The Science Council agrees. Humans may frighten us, but they also intrigue us. Their resilience, their adaptability, their creative problem-solving. These are traits the Commission can benefit from. Counselor A stood last. The Diplomatic Committee recommends approval. Humans have been respectful, patient, and willing to learn our customs even when they found them strange. They have shown good faith. N nodded slowly. Then let us vote, all in favor of accepting humanity as a full member of the Galactic Commission. Lights began to appear across the chamber as delegates registered their votes. Ho held his breath. Bora reached over and squeezed his hand. The voting took 5 minutes. When it ended, N announced the results. The measure passes with 782 votes in favor, 51 against, and 14 abstentions. Humanity is hereby accepted as the 848th member species of the Galactic Commission. The chamber erupted in a mix of reactions. Some delegates applauded in their various ways. Others sat quietly, still processing. A few looked relieved that the decision was made. Ho felt emotion well up inside him. He had done it. Humanity had done it. They were no longer alone in the galaxy. Bora was crying happy tears. "We did it," she whispered. After the official session ended, many delegates approached to offer congratulations. Some were still nervous, but they made the effort. It was a start. Counselor approached last. Ambassador Ho, Cultural Liaison Bora, congratulations. Thank you, Counselor, Ho replied. Your support meant a great deal. A's antennae twitched in a gesture Ho had learned meant thoughtfulness. I must admit something. 3 months ago, when you first walked into this chamber, I was terrified. You represented everything unknown and dangerous. And now, Bora asked gently. Now I see that you are terrifying, yes, but you are also kind. You are strong, but you choose gentleness. You have every biological and technological advantage, yet you seek partnership, not domination. She paused. Perhaps that is what the galaxy needs. Guardians who understand what it means to survive, who know the value of peace because they have known the cost of violence. Ho bowed deeply. "We will do our best to earn that trust, counselor." As I walked away, Ho and Bora stood together on the platform, looking out at the emptying chamber. Through the large windows, they could see stars stretching into infinity. "What happens now?" Bora asked. "Now we get to work," Ho replied. "Building relationships, sharing knowledge, learning from others, showing the galaxy that humans are not just survivors but friends." Later that evening, the news reached Earth. Celebrations erupted in cities around the world. Humanity had taken its place among the stars, not as conquerors but as equals. On Harmonic Sphere, the human delegation gathered to celebrate quietly. They knew the road ahead would not be easy. Fear and misunderstanding would not disappear overnight, but they had taken the first step. In the following weeks, humans would begin working throughout the commission. Human engineers would help with problems in extreme environments that other species couldn't access. Human medical officers would share knowledge about trauma care and resilience. Human artists would create works that moved alien audiences to tears. And slowly, very slowly, the galaxy would learn that Earth's harshness had created not monsters, but beings with extraordinary empathy. Because only those who had struggled truly understood the value of helping others struggle less. The day a human entered the commission and terrified the galaxy became the day the galaxy began to understand what humans truly were. Survivors who chose to be protectors, warriors who chose to be peacekeepers, and children of a death world who chose to be the best friends any species could hope for. In time, when other dangerous species were discovered, it would be humans who volunteered to make first contact, because they understood what it meant to be feared, and they knew how to show that strength and kindness could exist in the same heart. The galaxy had been terrified, but through that terror came understanding, and from understanding came something precious, friendship between beings who had every reason to fear each other but chose trust instead. Ambassador Ho stood at his window one last time that night looking at the stars. Earth was out there somewhere, dangerous and beautiful. It had made humanity strong, but humanity had chosen to make itself kind. And that, in the end, made all the difference.